Hey guys, welcome to this TieshaRenèe Wellness Tips video. Please like, share, and subscribe, and let's get into it. So this is what we're doing today. I am making raw sea moss gel. Some people will buy their sea moss gel. I found that it's a lot less expensive if I make my own. This particular brand is called Elderwise. It is organic. You can find it on Amazon. I take sea moss gel myself as a supplement for my daily nutrient and mineral intake. As you may well know, a lot of our foods do not provide us with the essential minerals and nutrients that our body needs on a daily basis. Sometimes I will take a tablespoon by itself. Other times I will add it to my smoothie just to kind of mask the taste. But you can add it to your teas, your coffee, soups, oatmeals, however you prefer to take it. But those are the best ways to take your sea moss if you don't like it raw, like the gel by itself. Some people don't like that earthy taste because it is very earthy, just so you know if you've never taken it before. I do prefer the purple sea moss. It has the essential minerals that I'm looking for. I recommend that you look up the different types of sea moss before you buy one and decide which one is going to provide you with the nutrients and minerals that you need or that you would prefer. Here's what you will need to prepare your sea moss gel. First, you will need your preferred dried out sea moss. Second, you will need 3 liters to a gallon of the recommended water. And optionally, you'll need 1 lemon if you would like to add it at the end of all this to preserve your sea moss. You will also need 3 items in order to prepare your sea moss gel. You will need a colander. You will need a food storage container with a lid. I prefer to use a glass food storage container. And you will need a blender. You might be able to get away with it with a Food Ninja type blender. I have never tried it that way, but hey, if you guys try this recipe out with a Food Ninja or one of those smaller blenders, let me know how it works. Now it's time to make your own sea moss gel, guys. Okay, there are 4 steps. On the package, it says 3, but I've added another step and you'll find out why. First step, you are going to clean your sea moss. The sea moss has been in the sea. It should have some grit in it. It may taste like there's little sand particles in there. So that's why it's important and imperative that you clean your sea moss very well. You're going to take your colander and you're going to put it into the sink. You're going to add your dried out sea moss into the colander and you're going to thoroughly clean your dried sea moss. Okay, it's going to feel brittle. That's okay. Trust the process. So you're going to pour the recommended water onto the sea moss and kind of loosen it up. That way you can help take the sand and any other particles out of the sea moss while you're just, thumbing through it. Make sure you kind of separate it while you're rinsing it off with the water. Okay. I usually do this for a few minutes. I may even use half of my water doing this initially. Okay. So you want to thoroughly clean that as best as you can. Second, you're going to take that sea moss and then you're going to put it into your food storage container. Then you'll want to add water to submerge your sea moss under the water, okay? Just enough to add it to submerge it. Because what you're doing now is you're creating an atmosphere to where it's going to loosen any debris, any other debris, because you're not going to get it all out when you're initially rinsing it off. So it's going to sit overnight in your food storage container. So you're going to let it sit for 12 hours overnight. When you wake up the next day or when the 12 hours is up, you will notice that your sea moss has, ta-da, it has grown, or it might look spongy, right? And as you can see here, mine has expanded. It soaked up a lot of the water. And what you're going to notice, you might see a few little particles in the water. So this is the added step that I put in to the recipe, right? So what I do is I'll put my colander back in the sink. I'll pour my sea moss into the colander, and I'm gonna do another rinse. I'm gonna rinse it again because it's been sitting overnight and there's stuff in there, so we don't want that in our sea moss. We don't want it to be gritty when we go to prepare it for actually, intake. So I do another rinse, and after you do your second rinse is when you're gonna put that sea moss into the blender. Now, once you put it into the blender, this is pretty much the last step. You're going to put it into the blender. You're going to add your water to the blender. You're going to submerge your sea moss into the water. You want the water to come right above the sea moss. You don't want to add too much water because then you'll make it too runny and it won't be a gel-like sea moss. That just might not work because then you'll create a watered-down version of sea moss. And that's the whole point of it being called sea moss gel. It's supposed to be like a gel, almost like gel that we put in our hair, right? You're going to submerge it into the water and you're going to blend it. You're going to blend it really well to where you get make sure there's no chunks of sea moss in there. You want to check it out maybe in between blending it every 1 to 2 minutes. Check it, stir it up and see how it looks, Make sure there's no big chunks of sea moss in there. And then once you've seen that it's pretty well blended, I can mine in mason jars, as you see here. Pour them into the mason jars. You see how much that sea moss, that little bitty pouch of sea moss made all of this sea moss gel. Okay, so this is what you want to do after you've completed making your sea moss. Pour your sea moss into a container. I prefer to use glass mason jars because they tend to preserve better and for a longer period of time. I end up using about